Now that the Chicago Bears have most of their coaching staff locked in, we still got a couple of key hires. We're waiting to see who the next offensive line coach is going to be. But with mainly the coaching staff locked in, we can finally start on my favorite part of the offseason. And that's actually talking about what steps, signings, draft picks can be made to improve this team. On today's episode, we're going to talk about some of my favorite free agents out there for the Chicago Bears on the offensive line and defensive line. We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. I want to start off this offseason content, finally kicking off offseason content with some of my favorite offensive linemen and defensive linemen for the Chicago Bears to target in free agency. Now, this is not my complete list yet. This is not a list to say the Bears need to sign all these guys or anything like that. It's just a list of some of the best players available at the positions that I really want the Bears to really focus on in those trenches over the course of this offseason. Now, let me be clear here. They could address some of these in the draft rather than in free agency. We'll get to draft content later on, right? We'll be gearing up towards that. But as of right now, we kind of know what free agents are going to be out there. So I think we can give a nice list of players for the Bears to target at these positions. The first one that I want to talk about is a guy that I've already done a video on, is Trey Smith. I think Trey Smith is just the perfect guy for the Chicago Bears roster. When you look at right guard being a huge hole for this team as well. Now, the biggest question is what's going to happen with him in Kansas City. They do have money concerns. They're gearing up for a Super Bowl. If they win, they could be willing to bring everybody back, damn the money. But if they do end up having to make some cuts and having to understandably move on for some players to keep other positions and other players, that's what it comes down to. If Trey Smith hits the unrestricted market, you do everything that you can. To me, he is your day one free agent target. He is the guy that you show up at his house or wherever he's going to be hosting visits. You show up there the day one of opening free agent. You talk to this guy and you secure a signature before you leave. I don't give a damn what you got to give him. If you can get Trey Smith out here with his age, the fact that he's on, offensive linemen of his caliber and age typically do not hit unrestricted free agency. They just don't. That's why it's so unlikely that he's going to be here. But if it is, the Bears have to be willing to pay whatever it takes to get him in the building because I think he can be that transformative for your offensive line. You have him and Darnell Wright on your right side. You don't have to worry about the right side at all. He's somebody that I would absolutely love to get him to be blocking for this team and in front of Caleb Williams. So Trey Smith is definitely somebody who's at the top of my list. Next up, James Daniel, right guard, currently with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this is another right guard. So if Trey Smith does stay with the Kansas City Chiefs, listen, I'll love it. So it is what it is when it comes down to it. James Daniels is somebody who I think that Ryan Poles should have re-signed during his first tenure here being with the Chicago Bears. He should have re-signed him. And, he's not on Trey Smith's level, but I do think that he is a really good pass protector. He's been a really good run blocker at the same time. You pair those two things, you bring him in here, you're creating stability on that offensive line. James Daniels is another guy I would absolutely love to come in here for the Chicago Bears and help shore up some things that we got going on here that I think could definitely help. The next guy that I want to talk about for the Chicago Bears is Ryan Kelly, currently right now with the Indianapolis Colts. This is a guy who's been a Pro Bowler before, a four-time Pro Bowler. He's a little bit older, of course, so you're not going to have him for as long as a tenure as like a Trey Smith. But I think if you can bring him in here, center is one of the positions that I want a veteran there. That's just kind of my personal opinion on it. I know not everybody's going to share that, but the first person to touch the ball in every play, I want a veteran there. And if you can get Ryan Kelly here to play center for the Chicago Bears, I'm not necessarily mad at that at all. 4-time Pro Bowler, if I didn't say that before. He was second-team All-Pro in 2020 as well. This is a guy that's won national championships with Ohio State. He's done a lot. I'm sorry, Alabama. He's done a lot. This is a guy who's a monster. And I think if you can bring him in, yeah, he's 31 years old, but that doesn't mean that he's washed yet. I think that you can bring him in and he can play pretty damn well for you. I would love to see him here when it comes down to it. He made 10 starts last year. That's down from 14, which was down from the year before that at 17. So maybe there are some concerns there, but I like Ryan Kelly here potentially for the Chicago Bears. I actually think he makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. The next guy, another guy I talked about briefly, Brandon Sheriff. This is another guard here that can come in, older side, 33 years old, but I think he brings a needed dynamic here for the Chicago Bears on that offensive line. Again, this is about bringing up the stability of that offensive line. I like him a whole hell of a lot, to be 100% honest with you. Again, and this would be a cheaper signing for the Bears, so if they were to sign somebody like a Brandon Sheriff, I would like to see them still go out and maybe even draft the same position in the draft, kind of bring a younger guy, maybe bring him up, see what you have there. But Sheriff can come in. And again, I'm not looking at him necessarily to be a starter for you, but I am looking for him to help add some depth to that offensive line. You'd have to get your starter elsewhere, but I like him a lot too. Last guy on this side of the list, Aaron Banks, offensive lineman currently with the San Francisco 49ers. I like this guy. I think he brings a lot of what we need. 27 years old, right? Has some versatility there. He played at Notre Dame, 6'5", 325 pounds. He was a consensus All-American in 2020, first team All ACC as well in 2020. I think this is a guy that the Bears could do. Again, it helps add the depth and overall talent to your offensive line. Again, not necessarily the knockout signing there, but I do think that it's a nice there as well. He is coming off an injury, so it is what it is when it comes down to it. He was placed on injury reserve in December of 2024, and he played in 13 games in 2024 as well. So take that for what you will. And so there's going to be some concern there, especially over injury. But Aaron Banks is another guy that I think the Chicago Bears should definitely take a look at, and they could come in, help this team overall. And like I said, that would be more of a depth signing, I think, for the most part, but a guy that I'm not necessarily mad at. Now, this is not my only offensive lineman that I'm interested in for the Bears by any stretch of the imagination. These are just some of the ones that I like to see the Bears kind of maybe take a look at first, for whatever that's worth. You guys can let me know how you feel on that down below. The next set of guys that I want to talk about are defensive linemen, and I'm going to start off with the guy that we talked about a little bit yesterday, and that's Khalil Mack. I think that, depending on what the deal is, it would make a lot of sense to bring in Khalil Mack, put him on the opposite side of Montez Sweat, and then you really don't have to worry about your defensive end production at all. 6 sacks last year did Khalil Mack have. Would be a veteran signing. I don't know how long the Bears will sign him for, how long he would be interested in the deal, but you look at the last 3 years that he's been with the Chargers. Over that time period, he's had 8 sacks, 17 sacks, 6 sacks, all things that we can really use here. And I think that Khalil Mack is still a guy that can be very productive. The bigger question here is, what type of deal would Khalil Mack want? Will he take less money with more years for some security, more guaranteed money up front? What is that? I think that would be a huge determining factor on if he makes sense for the Bears, because the Bears do have money that they need to spend at other positions. So I do think that it would have to be a reasonable contract. But if you trust that Austin Booker is going to be ready in a year or two to start and to give you solid production, if you trust it, if you don't, cool. That gives you 1 or 2 years to find that next guy that you think can be that guy. But if you're not going to address the edge in the draft, I think that Khalil Mack can do a whole hell of a lot of help for the Chicago Bears team. And then you have 2 veterans out there on those sides of those edges. And then with Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, hopefully we bring back DeMarcus Walker as well. I think we got something cooking there on the defensive line that Dennis Allen is going to really use creatively as well. And don't overlook the fact of Khalil Mack dropping back and playing linebacker sometimes under Dennis Allen's system as well, which I think could be creative. Next guy, Josh Sweat, is another guy that I like, 27 years old, so younger than Khalil Mack by 6 years. He had 8 sacks last year. And this is another guy that's been pretty damn productive over the last few years of his NFL career. You look at since 2021, he's averaged playing 16 and a half games per season, which is really good. He's had 7.5, 11.5, 6.5, and 8.5 sacks over that time period. Matter of fact, the lowest amount of sacks that he's had while playing a majority of full season is 4. He did have 0 sacks his rookie year, played 9 games total. He only had 1 tackle, so you're not really expecting that. But this is a guy that damn right can get to the football. And if you're able to put him on the other side of Montez Sweat, he can bring a lot of versatility for your defensive line. And so I like Josh Sweat a lot potentially for the Chicago Bears team. The next guy, B.J. Hill, is another guy that I like a whole lot. 6'3", 311 pounds. He's 29 years old. He did only have 3 sacks last year, playing 15 games. And not to say that he's ever been a sack monster, but he can be a productive player, right? Last 4 years from him, 5.5, 3, 4.5, and 3 sacks last year. This guy, he's productive. Now, this would be a functional signing to help the Bears defensive line. I don't think this would preclude somebody like if you feel like Austin Booker's ready to compete for a starting defensive lineman job, then you could do that. This would be somebody who can really help here. He's more of a tackle than anything else than an edge, but I think when you look at losing Andrew Billings last year, B.J. Hill can definitely help in some of those areas where we lack that. And, this comes down as well to, like with the Chicago Bears, how confident are they in what they have on the defensive line? We saw the leap that Javon Dexter made last year, and that's great to see. That's great to see. But Zach Pickens didn't necessarily make that same leap. So if you're confident in Zach Pickens, maybe you don't go after B.J. Hill, but he's a hell of an insurance policy if you do need one. Need some extra and added depth there, a veteran as well. I like the acquisition of B.J. Hill. And then this last guy, I know that a lot of people have talked about it, and I'm going to have him on this list because it does make sense. He played under Dennis Allen. That's Chase Young. He played with Montez Sweat before as well. And this could make some sense for both these guys, right? Now, the question here is that what does Chase Young want as a contract? A lot of questions were about how healthy he was going to be, right? Played all 17 games last year, had 5.5 sacks over that time period, 1 fumble forced as well, 25 years old. We already know, one of the very, very young player. He's picked 2nd overall in the draft for a reason. He has talent. You cannot deny the talent of Chase Young. The question is the health concern. That's always the thing with Chase Young. Is he going to be able to stay healthy, right? But I think when you look at him playing under Dennis Allen, him playing with Montez Sweat, so he's already going to understand Dennis Allen's system. The fit there is there. He has a proven track record of just being a solid player when he's healthy. I think all this makes sense. And if Dennis Allen goes to bat for Chase Young and looks at this and says, hey, I want Chase Young here. I want him here because he played under me. I feel confident that he's going to be able to help bring what we need. We already know the chemistry he has with Montez Sweat. I think that's a lot of reasons why Chase Young could fit and make sense for this team. Familiarity with the system, familiarity with our already other anchor on the opposite side of that defensive end. If you reunite them, listen, it is what it is. You look up 7 sacks, 66 pressures, 31 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss, and 21 QB hits. Listen, the way that Chase Young is able to generate pressure, listen, that frees up Javon Dexter. That does a lot for this defense. Listen, if you have a defensive line with Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson in coverage, Kyler Gordon in the nickel, like, hey, that's a team that can do something. Of course, the questions is just injury history. But I think he did a lot to kind of to answer some of those last year. And I, for one, would not be mad at Chase Young being signed to this team at all. But let me know what you guys think. I only had 1 defensive tackle on the list. Like I said, this isn't the full list of free agent candidates for the Bears. It's kind of just my favorites as of right now. We'll get into more comprehensive position-by-position lists as the offseason goes on. But I tell you what, I'm excited because we're actually talking about football things now rather than a coaching search. But with that said, we got a lot with the mailbag with everything going on this weekend. We're going to get into the voicemails. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas here. Man, I just wanted to give my thoughts on this. I can't remember that guy's name we got from Denver, that offensive coordinator there. I like it. I like it. And I'm going to tell you why. And I know I've seen a lot of people on Facebook, they talking about they don't like it, and on Twitter talking about they don't like it, and they prefer, what's that guy's last name? Shaw. Used to be at Stanford. They wanted him. The reason why that wouldn't have been a good idea, guys, because Shaw, a guy like him with his pedigree, if he comes in first year and we do great, offense is looking great, chances are Shaw is leaving the next year to go get a head coaching job. Chances are. As opposed to bringing in a young guy where both him and Ben Johnson have a mutual understanding that this is a process and I'm going to groom you into being what I need you to be at OC. That was the reason behind this, guys. It's for long-term success. So don't get all bent out of shape because we didn't get Shaw. Damn, y'all got 3 out of the damn top 5 candidates that was available on the market. All right, let's slow down and let's give Ryan Poles, goddamn, almost at pace. Let me not take us back there. Let's give Ryan Poles some credit, man, for what he's doing. And it seems like the McCaskies are hands off and letting the people do the work. And this, regardless of what happens this season, guys, this is a first for us to see it done this way. All right, it hasn't been done this way. So we have even more reason to be excited, but temper those a little bit. But this is the first time we've seen it done this way, man. And I really do think that Ben Johnson and the offensive coordinator are going to develop Roma Dunze, or should I say a Dunze, as old C-Dub like to say, because I think that's going to be the number one guy because his skill set is so diverse. And I'm looking forward to seeing him unlock Roma Dunze. But let me know what y'all think about that, man. Texas up, bear down.
Declan Doyle. Listen, I agree with most of what you said there, right? I do think that if David Shaw was the hire, that he had a chance to leave in 2 or 3 years or whatever. I think with Doyle being the hire here, you lock in a guy who you gave him the job a little bit too early as offensive coordinator. And so this is a guy that probably would have got an offensive coordinator job in the next couple of years, but now that you've locked him into that, you can't take a lateral move unless you allow him to. So you lock him in now. The only other promotion is going to be a head coach, right? So hopefully he's going to be able to come here, add a dynamic mind with Ben Johnson. And I'm not mad at the Doyle hire. I actually like it the more and more that I've come around to it and thought about it. I get it why a lot of people are like, David Shaw, we could have gotten all veterans. I get that. But then what if you lose that guy in a year or two, right? Because David Shaw is a guy that's probably going to get some head coaching consideration here shortly. So I agree with everything that you laid out there. I think overall, like I said, Bears fans, we're always going to pick something. This is still a difference that the way the Bears have gone about this, the way that they're executing this is different for this franchise. Let's embrace it, see where it's going to take us, and hopefully this is the steps that get us to the place that we've always wanted to be in being a damn respectable franchise. That's the most important thing here. I don't give a damn if he was 14 years old, if he was able to come in here and coach the damn team and draw up some damn good offensive plays. That's what it comes down to. So, I think when it comes down to it all, I understand what Ben Johnson's thought process was here, right? I do. And I think, like you said, there's a lot of reason to be excited here because for once, the McCaskies seemed like they got out the way, but also they did not let money get in the way. And that's one thing that we've seen as well. We heard that, didn't necessarily believe it until we saw it, but we saw it, right? And so, like you said, Roma Dunze is going to benefit from this. Caleb is definitely going to benefit from this. And now we can start laying out that groundwork to actually build something that's meaningful here in Chicago. Wow, who would have thought it? Let's get it done, y'all. Let's get it done. All right, let's get into the next one. This one's from DeJuan.
Hey, to the Cognac Boys, Bobby, Steve-O, D-Dub, Devo, this your boy DeJuan from the low end. I'm just chiming in. The season is over with. It was what it was with the season. I ain't feel mad. I ain't feel happy. I was even killed about it, but I did like the progress that Caleb Williams showed. There was a lot of ups and downs. The offseason moves we've been making so far, I like the way they brought in Antoine Randall, Al Harris, JT Barrett. Those are some big, quiet signings. Ben Johnson, I just want Ben Johnson to come in and run the team, not the offense, to run the team like you said he'll do. I want to see the coaching that he's going to establish. I just want to see how aggressive he's going to be with the media. It seems like he's going to be well kept in Chicago outside of his offensive line. I think when he experienced 1 or 2 losses, we go see the true side of Ben Johnson as far as, not being Mr. Nice Guy. He's not going to sugarcoat shit. But as far as the rest of the coaching staff go, I feel we need to get the best offensive line coach that's out there. Let the defensive coordinator get the top defensive line coach that he needs. Basically, we need like they doing, getting the top people at every position they need to make this team successful and work and show the progress of the team doing what they need to do to move forward. We just want to see steps forward, as fans. I feel in a draft at number 10, don't go with the best player available. Go with the best player at a needed position. That's how I feel. If you need an offensive lineman, I know they say look at the boy from Ohio State, but I'm tired of drafting people coming in with injuries that don't pan well with Chicago. Like, people got to understand, Chicago never had a player they drafted with an injury that succeeded or that they kept. I don't want to go that route. We could get a defensive end in the second round. I don't want to do it with the number 10. The next defensive coach might not be as big on grabbing the early round defensive end as other coaches. He might say, grab him maybe in the second or third, fourth round, and might be something well worth it. He might like Aaron Booker. You never know. But as far as the team in this offseason, I just want them to, get the best players at the needed position to fill the holes, throw the money at the free agent. That top dog, get Makai back.
Listen, I don't really need anybody to be aggressive with the media. I just need them to be direct, transparent, and handles accountability well, right? And that's some things that it seems like Ben Johnson really is focused on bringing here to Chicago, because he understands the importance of that, not only for the optics, but also for the camaraderie between your team, the respect from your players, right? Part of the reason Matt Eberflus lost the locker room is because he wasn't accountable to anything that actually happened and went wrong. He said the same things out there on the platform every single day, and it's hard to instill faith when you see somebody out there looking like a fucking idiot. And that's what Matt Eberflus did too often, right? So yeah, as long as he handles those things well, I think those are going to go well for him being a good head coach here. Now, as far as what you said about the O-line hire, I do believe that the offensive line coach is the next big hire here. Because where this offensive line has been for the last few years, we need to be in a better place. We get in a better place with better coaching, better players that we still need to bring in here as well, better overall talent. But that is a huge hire at some point coming for the Bears, and let's hope that they get it done. As far as your last part, drafting for positional need versus best available, that's always kind of the dueling thought process at any time. And I think with the NFL, it's kind of even more highlighted because the positions are so specialized, right? So I think here's the thing. I think that sometimes going best available makes sense if that player that's there is so much head and shoulders above the rest that you just like, we can't pass up this talent. There are going to be times of that, right? Where there's somebody there. Is Gentry one of those guys? I'm not saying that, but there are going to be times where there are players there that you just look at and say, they're too good at this draft position that we can't pass them up. And there's that. But I do think that we know the clear positions that we need, and I hope that they address those regardless of what it is. If you feel you can get them later and they're going to be able to help fill and start or whatever else it is, I'm cool with it. If you go a position, a skill position again early or whatever it is. But I think overall, it's just that in everything, if you're going to go best available, you got to make sure those other positions are somehow shored up some type of way. And we'll see what the methodology is this offseason. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.